These 1 minute habits are how I reset, restore, and rebuild my joy every day as a stay at home mom to 3 young children. Not with big dramatic changes, but with these mercifully easy 1 minute habits. Some days, as a stay at home mom, I feel like I'm just barely holding it together with a cold cup of coffee and spit up on my shirt. The house is loud, somebody's always crying, and I think to myself, why do I feel so heavy when this is all really very normal? This is the life I've always dreamt of. And actually, I'm so blessed. I know that in my head, but why does it feel like this? So here's the shift that helped me to start feeling like myself again. I stopped waiting for a big fix and I started just collecting small mercies. This video is a collection of all those small mercies, tiny, doable, 1 minute habits that help me feel human again. They're little heart resets that'll help you to feel happy again as a stay at home mom. And they've helped me go from overwhelmed and overstimulated to experiencing true peace and joy without feeling like I need a break from my own life. When you're home all day with little ones, you're doing a million invisible things. I used to move through the day with clenched teeth, simmering stress, snapping 1 minute, and then feeling really guilty the next. But then I started to get really intentional about how to build the life of my dreams as a stay at home mom through simple habits like the ones that I'm going to share here today. Because after all, I'm living the life I've always wanted, and it really is such a privilege. So, if you're new here, I'm Kiri, and I help Christian homemakers who are living in a fog of exhaustion and stress to become the patient, peaceful mother and wife they've always dreamt of being. So, if you're a Christian mother who's feeling burnt out and longing to be that joyful mother and wife you've always imagined without turning to therapy or supplements or constantly decluttering your home, I'd love for you to subscribe. And if you're like, okay, but what if I actually do need a full life reset? Some big change that'll totally transform you. I share that in my free workshop. This is the exact system that helped me feel like a whole person again, right here in the middle of motherhood. I'll show you how I went from barely surviving each day to creating a peaceful, joyful home. You can watch that anytime. Just click the link below. All right, so the first habit is to read something that feeds your soul as a mother. I don't really get to read in long, uninterrupted stretches anymore because let's be honest, who has time for that when you have 3 little ones running around? But instead, I read just a page or two here and there while my children are playing and I'm on the floor with them, or while I'm waiting for an appointment, during those small pockets of quiet throughout the day. But not in a frantic, like, I have to get my reading in kind of way, but just in a slow, peaceful, let's immerse myself for just a moment kind of way. So lately, I have been savoring a sweet little comfort read lately, and it's been such a balm to my heart. It's called Michael's Gentle Life, and there's this richness to it, and it feels kind of like a Titus 2 mentorship through a story. Carol, who's the main character, is the kind of Christian woman that you'd want pouring into your life. She's wise and warm and full of grace. So there's this moment in the very first chapter that stood out to me because of how much I related to Carol, and I think many of you can too. So she's up in the night, she's tending to her baby alone in a separate room so that her husband can rest. He doesn't even realize how many times the baby wakes up because, as Carol puts it, what's the use in both of us burning the midnight oil? And I was immediately convicted when I read this. Instantly, all the times I did get up with the baby, but not quietly, not sacrificially, came to mind. How I made sure that my husband knew exactly how many times I was up and at exactly what hours. But Carol quietly serves. She takes the godly, Christ-like route again and again in this story. She's not perfect, of course, but it's just so sweet to read a novel between a loving husband, respectful wife, and children being raised to love and serve the Lord within a functional, unified family. This book ministers so deeply to the heart of a homemaker, and I really think you love it. And that's exactly what I mean by reading something that feeds your soul as a mother. So anyway, if you're interested in this book, I'll leave a link for you below. The next habit is to sit down and do absolutely nothing. I've talked about this in another video, and I come back to it constantly because it just works and it really does feed my soul as a mother. Just sit on the floor. Let your children crawl all over you. Don't clean, don't plan, don't scroll. Just be. Just be with them. Let the moment soften you. Laugh with them, relax with them, just rest for a minute. It might be the first breath you've taken all day, and you'll be shocked at how this can increase your joy as a mother. Just sit and do absolutely nothing. The next habit is to worship for a single minute. Even if you only have a minute, it might turn into 3, but you'll be shocked at how the Holy Spirit meets you right there in that moment. Because worship isn't just something that we offer to God, it lifts the spirit of heaviness. It calms the anxious heart and it reminds the weary soul who is really on the throne. 1 minute of true worship can redeem an entire chaotic morning. All right, the next habit, it's almost laughable how much this one helps, but also how simple it is. It's to drink more water. Okay, but seriously, if you're feeling a little pent up with stress, stop and chug water. So here's my routine when it comes to water. When I wake up in the morning, I drink a full 30-ounce mason jar of water. That way I have at least that in before the chaos of the day starts. And then before you know it, it's like noon and I'm like, have I had any water today? So that's what I do. And then next is I always chug water before I want to snack. I found that often when I want to snack, it's either because I'm dehydrated or because I need an energy boost. And water can satisfy both of those needs. But be kind to your sweet body and just drink more water. You'll be surprised at how much this can transform the way that you feel. Next habit is to meditate on a single Bible verse. So I keep a Bible open on my counter and I'm always working on a memory verse. So I have that verse highlighted or underlined. And when I feel weary or impatient or I start to get anxious throughout the day, I just stop and I look at that verse and I commit it to memory. I let the word roll around in my mind for just a minute, and this really helps to repattern my thoughts, which if I'm feeling those ways that I mentioned, like anxious or weary or impatient, then I'm probably not renewing my mind the way that I ought to, and focusing on the word is how you can fight against that. The next habit is to flood your house with fresh air. Open the windows, let the breeze in. Fresh air is God's natural reset button. It changes the atmosphere of your home in such a practical way, and it lifts the heaviness and somehow resets the whole tone of your home. Never, ever underestimate the power of fresh air when your day has gone awry. The next habit, I love this one. It's to send a sweet voice message to a friend. We were never meant to do this alone as stay-at-home moms. Motherhood can really feel isolating, but connection is part of our design. We need one another. Sometimes just reaching out, even with a simple, hey, I'm thinking of you message or a short prayer sent over a text message, is enough to bring your own heart back into fellowship. That tiny act of reaching beyond yourself creates this ripple effect. It pulls you out of isolation and into connection, and it can really minister to your friend in ways that you may never have realized. And in the giving, something beautiful happens. You are refreshed too. Proverbs 11:25 says, whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and whoever waters will himself be watered. Reaching out isn't just a kind gesture, it's a powerful way to partner with the Lord in ministering to others while He ministers to you. So send that text, share that song that uplifted you this morning, or maybe if you have more time, drop a coffee off to a friend, but just reach out. The next habit is to replace each thought with truth. When your thoughts start spiraling, stop and ask yourself, is this helpful? Sometimes we can convince ourselves that our spiraling thoughts are true, and while they might be, they aren't probably very helpful. So even if it feels true, ask yourself, is this building me and my family up, or is it tearing us down? Then replace it with something that's actually life-giving. You can also start creating a journal of your own common, unhelpful thoughts, and then next to them have your replacement thought or scripture to combat those negative thoughts. This is how you renew your mind. The next habit is to use what I call the baseline protocol. So when life feels crazy, I use what I call the baseline protocol. I teach this in my course, but here's a quick example of what it might include. Switch to paper plates. It's not forever, but it's a simple hack that reduces stress right now. These little changes help you to adapt to your current season of life and stay afloat in those chaotic seasons of motherhood. And I have so many more examples like this, but the gist is just let life be easy where it can be. These little hacks aren't just about convenience. They're about recovering from survival mode. And this is exactly what I walk my students through in my free workshop. How to stop white knuckling your way through the day and actually heal the root of burnout. If you feel overstimulated, reactive, or like you're constantly one small mess away from a meltdown, I would love for you to join. I'll walk you through the exact method that I used to calm my nervous system, rewire my brain, and start enjoying my homemaking again. So if you haven't watched it yet, the link is below and it comes with a free workbook to follow along too. The next habit is to just laugh. I'm serious. Literally, just force yourself to laugh. A dramatic, over the top laugh can actually turn into a belly laugh if you let it. So you'll feel silly, and then that silliness will turn into a real laugh, and your kids will catch it too. Or just keep a playlist of funny videos that always make you laugh on YouTube. Joy is shockingly contagious, so just find ways to laugh, even if you have to fake it or curate it. The next habit is to use a special toy bin. So I have a stash of toys that only come out when I need a moment to regroup or shower or breathe. It's a tiny system that buys you just a minute of calm and it delights your kids at the same time. These toys are very strategically used in our home and they're all the crazy flashy ones, like the ones that make a lot of noise. And I say they kind of play for the kids instead of the kids playing with them. But, anyways, nonetheless, they entertain them. So they only come out when you really need them. Toys can be tools for your own sanity as a stay-at-home mom, so use them wisely. The next habit is to take a quick shower. Not a long, luxurious one per se, just a short, refreshing rinse. Let the water wash off the stress and then just start fresh. There's something about water, you guys, and God uses it to cleanse, to renew, and to restore in the Bible. And in His mercy, He designed our bodies to respond to water too. A quick shower doesn't just rinse off the physical grime, it sends a really powerful signal to your body. The sensation of water on your skin can activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's what's often called the rest and digest mode. So it lowers your cortisol level, it slows your heart rate, and it helps to regulate your breathing. So, in other words, water gently coaxes your body out of survival mode and into calm. So, if you're still in the stages of motherhood where you don't shower until all your children are sleeping, I'd encourage you to find ways to make this happen even when they're awake. Personally, right now, I put my 10-month-old in a little toy bouncer thing, and then the other children can play in their rooms or in my room, and I just set them up with something fun. And it's just like a refreshing minute to myself. The next habit is to go outside. Even if you just stand barefoot on the porch for 60 seconds, there's something about stepping outside that reminds you that life is bigger than your kitchen floor. Life is bigger than the four walls of your house. Also, the fresh air has a similar effect as the shower does on your nervous system. The next habit is one of the best tips you will probably ever receive if you are a new mom. And if you're a seasoned mom, you probably know this. Put your children in water or outside. If moods are crashing and things are getting a little squirrely in the house, get the children in the bathtub or take them outside. It's the best, most reliable tip, and it's so simple and easy to remember. When things get chaotic, get those kids in the water or outside. The last habit is to get on the floor. Whatever you're doing, reading, journaling, Bible study, do it on the floor. Your kids will feel closer, they'll play longer, and you'll feel like you're with them, not just managing them. And they'll feel that too. Even if it's not as convenient to do whatever you're doing on the floor with them, your children will feel so much closer and more connected with you. And often they'll play so much better by just having you in a closer proximity to them. So if you feel like you're stuck in survival mode, you can feel calm, present, and happy again. You can. Sometimes all it takes is 1 minute. And if you actually do need a full life reset, I share the exact system that helped me feel like a whole person again, right here in the middle of motherhood. I'll show you how I went from barely surviving each day to creating a peaceful, joyful home. So you can watch that anytime, just click the link below. And if you're interested in the overlooked habit that brought joy back into our home in 1 week, click this next video.